So I'm Margie Remmers-Davis, and I'm the creator of the Fast and Easy Way to QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certification. And what we do in this live stream is go over practice exercises. This is all about getting you hands-on practice in using QBO. And what we are working on in these live streams is what you have voted on inside our QBO Gym locker room. So make sure that you, if you're watching a recording of this, then you follow the link, join the locker room, because that's where you get to vote on what I'm covering. That's where you get to participate live and ask questions and make suggestions for what other exercises you would like so that you can learn QBO. So this week, the number one choice, and it was by far the number one choice for exercise this week, was closing the books. Now, just to clarify, the exercise that we have for closing the books is the actual closing of the books, okay? It's not all of the processes that you have to do before you close the books. Somebody asked for clarification on that, and we could do a future live stream day where we just talk about end of period activities and so all the things that you have to do before closing the books. We could do that, but that's not the purpose today. Today, we're just going to be actually closing the books. So let's take a look at that. All right. All right. So going back to sharing my screen, there we go. And here I am inside of the sample company. And here is our exercise. Again, you'll find that in the chat if you don't have it, or you, well, it should be in your email that I sent out, I think it was this morning. Anyway, so here we are closing the books. We're going to do this in our sample company. So hopefully you know how to get to the sample company. And here is our scenario. Craig's accountant has suggested that he get in the habit of formally closing the books to prevent changes to previous periods. Craig is confused as to how this would work. Can you help him? All right, so let's take a look. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Accountant Tools and select Close the Books. And I have a little note down there, but I will, I'll talk about that in just a second. So here we are in the sample company. Now you do have to be, this is the sample company for your accountant account. There are two versions of the sample company. One that is the accountant view. You can only access that from your QBOA account. The other is the client view, and the client view, you can just Google looking for the QBO sample company. It's called the test drive, okay? But you and I, right here, right now, we are accountants, and so we're doing this from the accountant side sample company. And of course, the instructions in the very beginning tell you how to get there. If you don't know how to get your QBOA account, that's a different thing. And that will be linked below. You can find out all that good stuff. All right, so here we go. We are in our sample company. And because we're accountants, we have this option that says Accountant Tools. And we have this option, Close the Books. Now, all of these things are quick links. That means they're actually going to someplace else. So when I hit Close the Books, it's actually going to take me to Account and Settings, where I would go to close the book. So it's going to take me to Account and Settings, the Advanced tab. And then let me just show you right here. I could also get here. So right here is where we're going to close the books. But I could also get here. I'm going to hit yes without saving. So you don't have to be an accountant user to close the books. This is another thing that people are confused about. If Craig could close the books himself. And to do that, he would just go to the gear icon, Account and Settings, and the Advanced tab right here. Switch sections without saving. Yes. This little guy right here that I'm seeing, maybe you're seeing it too while you're following along. This is just a problem with the sample company that they just have a new feature called benchmarking. And when you use benchmarking, it requires you to select your industry. And for some reason in the sample company, sometimes this will randomly pop up. So if that happens to you, just refresh the screen. So we're going to refresh the screen. And it's gone. And here is closing the books. Okay, so let's go back to our exercise. Okay, so what we've just done, we went to Accountant Tools and we clicked Close the Books. That took us to Accountant Settings, which is what this note here down below it says Craig could do it with just by going to Accountant Settings. Okay, so step 2 is to click the pencil icon or anywhere in the accounting section of the page to make the settings editable. So let's talk about what that looks like. So here I am back in my sample company, okay? And you'll notice that in the accountant settings, there are different sections. As I go through them, you'll notice that each one is highlighted, okay? So in order to make them editable, you have to either click the pencil icon for that section, or you can click anywhere here. And so I'm just going to click in there, and you'll notice it changes a little bit. And then you have all of these different settings, and one of them is close the books, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let me go to closing the books. All right. Go back to the exercise. All right. So we just made it editable. So now let's take a look at our next steps and read through them. So we're going to click Close the Book slider, okay? Then we're going to enter the last day of last month in the date field. So here I am, close the books right here. I just click that to turn on that slider. And then the closing date, now I am filming this in October. So I am going to put in September 30th. So that is the last day of last month. Excuse me while I cough for a sec. Oh man, I was in Austin and allergies. Oh my gosh, crazy. Apparently it's a thing. Everybody that goes to Austin is allergic to the trees or something. Anyway, so here I am. So last day. So whenever you are watching, if you're watching the recording, then you're going to put in the last day of last month. Going back to our exercise. So that was number 1 or step 3 here. Then we're going to click the drop down and select allow changes after viewing a warning and entering a password. Okay. So right here, allow changes after viewing a warning, or allow changes after viewing a warning and entering a password. Now, in the sample company, this only works with a password. So that's what we're going to be doing in this exercise. In a real company, you could have it prompt the warning, and then you would just say, yes, I understand, before going on to make a change. Or what we'll see here is you have to enter the password. Okay, so we're going to select entering a password. Going back to our exercise, it says see note below. I'm going to scroll down here, and this is what I just said, right? The sample company will not allow you to set a closing date without a password. In a real life scenario, you could make this choice as indicated by the drop down. We're going to go over the difference in a later step. Okay. So next thing we're going to do, step 5, is to choose a password we are going to remember. There are no password requirements. So it doesn't have to have a special character. It doesn't have to be, have a capital letter, like all those things that these days, passwords have to have, right? There's no password requirements. So we are just going to, for today, say our password is 1234. Not a good password. Don't use that password in real life, guys. This is just for now. Okay. And I'm going to confirm that password. Let me go back to my steps. So we just chose a password that we're going to remember, 1234. And don't use that. Do I have to say that again? Don't use that password in real life. That's just for the purposes of this exercise. Then we're going to click save and then done. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click save. And then, no, I don't want to do that. Oh my gosh, leave me alone. All right, and then we're gonna click done. Okay, so now we have closed the books, but the question is, how does this now affect the transactions? And that's what we're going to cover in the next steps. So let's take a look now. So we've done all this, steps 3 through 6. Let's go now to step 7. Now that the closing date has been set, let's show Craig what it would look like if he or anyone else tried to change a transaction in the closed period. Okay, so we're going to find a transaction in the closed period. What's the closed period? Anything on or before September 30th. Okay, that's the date that we just set because I'm filming this in October, and just for the purposes of the exercise, we picked the last day of last month. So if you're watching this in January, it would be December, right? So we're going to look for a transaction that was in that closed period. So from the left navigation bar, we're going to select expenses and click vendors. So here we've got expenses and we're going to select vendors. Okay, moving on, step 8. Then we're going to go to Bob's Burger Joint. There's Bob's Burger Joint. Okay, and that was step 8. Going back, we're now on step 9. Last month, Craig took his crew out to lunch and charged it to his credit card. Let's try and edit that transaction. Okay, so here you can see the picture, and this one was from the sample company is really cool because it will change all of these dates. It's dynamic like that. So for when I took this picture, it was August 22nd. Let's see what it is now. So it's still August 22nd. So they'll probably change it. My guess is when the month over changes. Okay. So for right now, we're going to just click that expense. Okay. And so far, so good. It still looks like I can edit it, right? So here I am going back to the exercise. Step 9, click credit card expense. That's what we did. Now step 10 says you could change anything on this transaction and get the same result. But for this example, let's change the memo. Okay. So in the memo field, so anything you change, you're still going to get this prompt. But for us, let's just say it was something else. In the memo field, change the crew number from 102 to 103. Okay, so we're going to go back to our exercise. Here's our memo, bought lunch for crew 102. And what did we say? I'm going to change it to 103, I think. Change it to 103. Yep. Change it to 103. By the way, I see there's a couple of people that joined us a little bit late. So if you need a copy of this exercise, it's in the description. If you're listening to it live, it's in the chat. If you're recording, if it's in the description. Okay. All right. So we bought lunch for the crew. And now we are going to click Save and Close. And interesting. We're getting a message. So it says this transaction was on or before your company's closing date. What was the closing date? September 30th. That's what we set, the last day of last month. Editing the transaction will affect your books, and it's going to say, please enter the password to continue. So I'm going to have to do that. Let's go to our exercise, though. So you guys should be following along. Step 11. Because this transaction was before the closing date you set in in step 3, you are prompted to enter a password. You should not receive this prompt on any transaction dated after that date. So you can test that on your own. We're going to enter the password we set in step 5, which was 1234, and click Save. But before I go on to that, I want to point out this note right here. So in a real life scenario, I mentioned earlier that in the sample company, we have to set the password. In a real life scenario, you could not have a password. And so if you don't have a password, this is what it would look like. Okay. In a real life scenario, you could choose to select a warning without a password. It would look like the following. Note that there is no way to prevent changes from being made at all. Okay. Only with or without a password. Okay. So you can never just stop somebody from making a change. That's not what closing the books does. It just says, okay, the change is going to require a password. And if you make changes then it's going to show up in the exceptions to closing report, which hopefully I have in this exercise. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So now we're going to enter the password and click save. So we said 1, 2, 3, 4. What did I say? Don't make that your real password. Okay, then click yes. And no, Google Chrome, I don't want to save that password. Okay, so now I have made the change, and let's go on to our steps 12 and 13. So now that we have made a change to a closed transaction, the change will show up in the exceptions to closing report. So let's take a look at that. From the left navigation bar, we're going to click reports. So let's do that. Okay, from the left navigation bar, we're going to click reports. Step 13, in the search bar, type EXC and it'll show, and exceptions to closing date will show up. Okay, so we're going to type EXC. There's exceptions to closing date will show up. And here it is. So this doesn't look like a normal report, does it? This is not, I think actually our next exercise is going to be about customizing reports. I'll have to ask Joel. I think that's what it is. And but this is not the same as normal report. This is actually just an audit history. Okay. So exceptions, these are the exceptions to the 9/30 closing date. So this is the closing date, and this is what changed here. Let me see what I have in my exercise here. Okay, so we did that. Step 14. All right, click the down arrows to open up the report details and note the following. The bottom section shows the details of the transaction at the time it was closed. The upper section shows the date and time the transaction was changed. And the change that was made on that date is highlighted in yellow. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we are clicking the down arrows to open the details. Okay, so here's what it was originally. Here is the change. And here is specifically, and here's the date of the change, which is today. And then here's what changed. So what changed is highlighted in yellow. Okay. And that is it for closing the books. All right. Who has questions? Here, wait, let me figure out how to get off my thing. All right. Who has questions about closing the books that we just covered before we go on to our next exercise? Anybody? I'm going to give you a minute because one time I did this, and I guess somebody was like typing their question, and I like closed it up and went off to the next exercise before they had clicked send, and then we had to go backwards. And all right, somebody says thank you, it really helps, which is great. Somebody says hi, which is great, thank you. But I want to make sure that there are any questions. Okay. Somebody says I came in late. Where can I access this in full? So the came in late. Where can I access this in full? So the exercise itself, the full exercise is in the chat. So you can do that. I also emailed everybody in the locker room. I emailed you links to all of the exercises. And if you want to watch the recording of me going through it, then as soon as we're done here, the recording is available in the Facebook group. Okay. So someone says, amazing, thanks. Somebody says all good. And I forgot. So I just learned that I can actually add your questions. So I'm going to add this person. So you can see, look, Josmeal. Oh, I'm butchering your name. I'm so sorry. Does closing the books create any closing entries on the back end? No. It just sets a date. There's no entry for that date. It just sets a date for all these reports to measure off of. So, all right. So our next exercise is creating a work project. This came in second place. Everybody wants to know how to do this, and you do have to know it for the test, but I don't know anybody that uses this feature in real life. So the exercise cannot be done in the sample company. You have to do it in your QBOA account. So here we go. Let's take a look at the scenario. Because you are so busy with your clients' books, you sometimes forget to do your own. Create a simple repeating monthly task list for yourself. Okay, so that's what this is. So that's what these work projects are, by the way. They are just task lists that you can create that are specific to either your own firm, like just things that you need to remember to do. Like this scenario, what we're going to be doing is doing your own books. It could be payroll. It could be an onboarding task list if you have a new employee, whatever. It's just a, it's a to-do list inside of your QBOA account. That's what it is. And you can also have create a list of things that you want to do for a client of yours. So anyway, that's why you have to do it inside your QBOA account. And I guess Intuit really wants you to use this feature. But yeah, like I said, I don't know anyone who actually does. Maybe there's somebody out there. I don't know. All right, so step 1. From the left navigation bar, we're going to click Work. And if it's the first time, we're going to get a bunch of screens. And I don't know if I have done it for my alter ego here, so we will see. Work is right here. All right, so this is all of these things that we just have to, because it's the first one. All right, so going back to our exercise, step 2 in the upper right-hand corner, we're going to click the green Create Project button. So right here, close that. We're going to create this green Create Project button. All right, and then we have the option, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me go to steps 3 through 5. Okay. So we have the option to use a template. So they have predefined templates that you can use that have like suggested lists of things. And there is a separate exercise, I'm pretty sure, that is creating a client onboarding list. I'm pretty sure I have an exercise about that. If you'd like me to record that, let me know, put it in the chat. But this one is this exercise, we're going to create one from scratch. So we're going to not use the template. And then we're going to fill in the Create Project Template form as follows. So first, we're going to select that the project name is My Firm Tasks. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. Okay, so no template. And then the project name, we're going to call it My Firm Tasks. And I don't need that. All right, and then I'm going to go back to my exercise. So that was the first one. Then we have this drop down where you're going to select whether this is for your firm or for a particular client. So here, firm or client. And I don't have any clients in this account, so I'm going to say my firm. And let's see, what do I have here next? So my firm, the due date is the last day of this month. So I'm filming this in October. So the last day is going to be Halloween. Okay. And going back to the sample. Okay. So we're going to repeat this. We're going to have this slider be on. And then we're going to fill in the frequency grid to be the 31st of each month. So this is something that you want to have show up as your task list on the last day of every month. If you put it in as the 31st, then it will always be, if a month only has 30 days, then it will show up then. It will always show up on the last day, but you have to put the 31st of each month, okay? So here we go, due date. I'm clicking the repeat slider, monthly, the day, and it's going to say, we're going to say oh my gosh, let me use this instead, 31st. Okay, so now it's the 31st of every month. And what else did I say? Okay, I already said if there is no 31st of a given month, it will automatically default to the last day of the month. And you can see that by, this is new, this little upcoming thing. That's nice. Anyway, so let's go on to step 6. Already did all those things. Okay. So step 6, let's look at it again. Sorry, I went off a little fast, is to click add a task. And so if I scroll down, here's like my picture right here. We're going to click add task. So that's the same as, here I am in my real thing. I'm going to click add a task. There we go. And steps 7 through 9. Okay, so we're going to enter the task name as pay firm bills. We're going to say that it's due on the last day of this month, and then we're going to collapse to close the task. So let's do those 3 things. Pay firm bills, last day of this month as the due date, click collapse to close the task. Okay, pay firm bills, last day of the month, and then collapse to close the task. Okay, so notice that the status right here says to do, and then these little bars right here means that it's draggable, means you can reorder it. Let's take a look, see if I put that in the exercise. All right, so now we're going to repeat steps 6 through 9 to create the tasks, send firm invoices, and reconcile firm bank accounts. Okay, so let's go back to here. Task name, send firm invoices, and collapse, add a task, reconcile firm bank accounts, and set that as a task, and collapse. All right, so now we have 3 tasks there. Okay, and we'll go on to step 10. All right, so step 10, if desired, click and hold the dots to drag the tasks to a different place in the list. This is what I was just saying about these little drags. So if I wanted to send the firm invoices first and then pay the bills, if I want, I could reorder them if I wanted to. And then once I'm done, I'm going to click save. Okay, click save. You just created your first project. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll go to step 12. Click the calendar icon to confirm that the project list repeats each month. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So here we have this tile view. Well, this isn't the tile view, this is the list view, but it's organized of all the things you have to do today, all the things that you have to do this week, next week, and then in the next 30 days. Okay, so you'll notice that next week, Monday, is Halloween, October 31st, and so all of the things that are there. These tiles individually equal the different tasks inside that project. So here we had our 3 things that we put inside there, and I can, once I've done them, I could change the status to whatever, okay? This tile represents the entire work project. So inside this work is all of those 3 individual tasks, okay? And it also has the different statuses for the task. Sorry, I accidentally clicked on it, which meant it thought I wanted to edit it, okay? So if you want to see how it repeats every month, then you can look at the calendar view. So this is the list view right here. We also have a tile view. Oh, I lied. Sorry, that was the tile view. That's the tile view, guys. Did I mention that no one ever uses this? So I personally don't use this, but and I don't know anyone who does. But Here's the list view, so you could see all of the tasks repeating. But what I really wanted to show you and what's in the exercise is the calendar view. So you can see right here that there are 4 tasks that are on October 31st. And if we skip ahead to November, notice how there are now 4 due on November 30th, which is the last day of the month. And I believe that that is the last thing. Oh, next thing we're going to do is delete that, because we've done this probably in your real account. And so you probably don't want this. But before we delete it, do we have any questions about the work project, setting up a work project, understanding the statuses and the repeat slider? That's all on the test, guys. You have to know that for the basic level certification test. You have to know how to create a work project. You have to know about the templates. You have to know about the statuses for the different things. You have to know that repeat slider. So yeah, you got to know all of that stuff for the test, even if you don't actually use it in real life. So any other questions or any questions about this so far? Going once, going twice. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our next step, which is to delete the sample project from your thing. Okay, so since this project is now in your actual QBOA account, you may want to delete it. And so we're just going to locate the project tile. Remember, I talked just a minute ago about the difference between the project tile and the individual task tile. So what you want to do is in the project tile, you're going to change the status to canceled. So like most things in like most things in QBO, you can't actually delete it. So what we're just going to do is we're going to say that it's canceled. So I'm going to go back here to my tile view. Remember I said these are the tasks and this is the project. So we're going to go here and then we're going to click canceled. And that now removes it from our books. Okay. All right. So any other questions before that? I'm pretty sure that our next exercise is in the sample company. So I'm going to go, because I don't have very many exercises that are straight in your QBOA account. Almost all of the exercises are in the sample company. So I'm going to go back to the sample company in preparation for our next exercise, which I believe is customizing reports. So again, Joel has put the link in the chat. And if you're watching the recording of this, like on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. So you have the link to the exercise that I'm going through so you can follow along. All right, so this one is all about customizing a report. Now, I want to mention that in the survey, this actually tied for 3rd place, and the competing one was writing off invoices. So I thought that I had already recorded one for writing off invoices. If I can't find it, then I will let you know. But if those of you voted on customizing invoices, I'm sorry, for those of you who voted on, what did I just say? Writing off invoices. If we can't find that, then we can, do it again next time. But it's related to credit memos. So I feel like I recorded all of that, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just posted the exercise. So let me know if you can't find it. All right, so here we go. Our last exercise for today is customizing a report. Now, this topic is so big. Like I could create 20 exercises for you guys on customizing reports. And if there's a specific report that you'd like help creating, you'd like me to create an exercise for you to do it, absolutely put that in the chat, put it in the group, let us know. We'll add it to our list of suggestions because there's just so much to cover. There's so many ways that you can customize a report. And it'll be interesting to see on the next version of the test if they want you to use the new custom report builder. So that's been a thing that's in beta for a while, and they might be normalizing it now, and maybe they want you to train on the new thing. So that could also be a thing, is learning the new report builder. So anyway, let me know in the chat, put it in the group. We're going to make it happen for you. All right. So customizing a report. Let's look at just the simple one that I created. Okay. So Craig has asked if he could start seeing his profit and loss broken out by quarter. He would also like any negative numbers to appear in red so that he can see them quickly. How can you accommodate him? All right. So we're going to make this. We're going to make a profit and loss. We're going to break it out by quarter. And we're going to make negative numbers appear in red. And there is a very specific reason why I picked this scenario. I don't know, maybe this is the kind of thing you have to know for the test. I don't know. I can't tell you any test questions. I'm just saying maybe there's a reason that I picked this one. All right, so from the left navigation bar, we're going to click reports, then we're going to select profit and loss. So here we are, QuickBooks, here we go. We're going to select reports. Then we're going to select profit and loss. We're going to go back to, so this is just the standard P&L that they just automatically show up, and it automatically selects the period of this year to date, and it just gives you totals. So what if I wanted to see it by quarter? Well, that's what Craig does. And the negative numbers right now are just showing up as negative, and then, with a minus sign, and then there's the number. Okay. So how do we fix that? So we're going to go to step 2. We're going to click the customize button. So I'm going to click customize. And here we have all of the ways that you can customize a report. Now, depending on the type of report that you have selected. So we have selected a profit and loss. But if I selected, say, some kind of aging report, then it would have aging options on here. So depending, if it were a tag report, there would be tag options in here. So this whole customized report section will be different based on what kind of report you are trying to customize. Okay, so notice this beginning part here, this report period and the accounting method. You can also change them. I'm going to close that for a second. You can also change some of the stuff up here. So there's some customizations that you can do here, but the majority of the customizations you do under this customize button. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so let's go back to, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So steps 3 through 5, okay? In the general section, we're going to click show in red, okay? So this is right here, how we change the numbers so that they appear in red. And I can control, whether it's a -0 or it has the negative number in parentheses. Some people like to see it that way. I've never seen it this way, but maybe some people like to have the negative afterwards. So you could change that. So all of this is in your control. But for me, I'm just going to hit check show in red. And you need to know that, guys. You need to know how to do that. So that's the first thing. So going to back to our exercise. So that was the first one. Then under columns, we're going to click total only, open the drop down, and select quarters. So here we have where it says totals only. This is in the columns and rows section. We have total only. We're going to change that to quarters. Okay. And now once we're ready, let me go back to my thing. Step 5, click run report. Then, so we're going to click run report. And notice what happened to our report. So we now have broken up. These columns are now the different quarters. And the fourth quarter here isn't finished yet because we just started the fourth quarter, but it'll show you up to what today is, okay? Because that's what the range is. All right, so, and that's the negative numbers all showed up in red. So that's how that works. And I think that is it for, here we go, finished. And I just have the pictures and I show you how it all works and it's beautiful. And that is it, guys. What questions do you have for me about customizing reports? At a basic level, for the basic level certification, there's not a whole lot that you have to know other than, what I just showed you. The advanced level, there's a little bit more that you need to know. But like I said, I could create 50 more exercises just about customizing reports. I'm happy to do that for you if that would be helpful. So what questions do you have for me? And if you don't have any questions, I will just pop my face back up so we don't need to be staring there. What is that? Why is that? There we go. Yay. All right. So what questions do you have for me? What can I answer before we head off into the weekend and before I let you go? Any questions? I must have done an amazing job. Either somebody is typing a really long question, or I just did such an amazing job that you don't have any questions. All right. So here's somebody that says, this learning session has been very helpful. Thanks so much. You're welcome. And I wish that I could name you by name, but you didn't give StreamYard permission. So remember, guys, I would love to be able to know who you are that I'm interacting with, and so you have to give StreamYard permission to access your Facebook in order to do that. Joel, can you post that link in the chat one more time? All right. And oh, never mind. He doesn't have it offhand, but it's in the email, guys, and it's in the live stream, the event, in Facebook. Anita, you're welcome, and I am delighted. I'm happy to help you. Oh, and I have a really big question. So much helpful. Really loved it. Great. Here's one. Margie, do you think one can attempt the advanced certification now or next year since there will be an update? Joel, can you please post the YouTube video in the chat that has me going through all of the pros and cons of hurry up and wait or hurry up and get it done, or just wait for the new version. So off the top, so I made a whole video about this. I had a chalkboard and I went through the pros and cons, and it's only 8 minutes of your life to watch it, and then you'll know. So, and Joel's going to post that here in just a minute. But quick answer is there is absolutely enough time. So the deadline is Monday, October 31st. There's enough time if you're listening to this live. If you're listening to the recording, probably not enough time. But for those of you on live right now, there is enough time to do the advanced because it only takes about 8 to 10 hours. So you could absolutely do it over the weekend before the deadline. You have to put your mind to it. I mean, it's not just like click through quickly and do it. You have to put your mind to it. You have to set aside the time. It is advanced, so it's harder concepts, but you absolutely can do it. And there's advantages to having it done. Our fast and easy version won't be ready until January 1st. So if you want my help getting your advanced certification, then now's the time to do it. If it's not as important to you, then that's fine too, and you can wait until the next version comes out in January. So either way, if you buy the course now, you'll still have access to it you'll have access to the new one automatically. So you could start studying it now if you wanted to, and then even if you don't have a chance to do the test, it's still helpful. The information is still helpful. Many of you have heard my story that I personally went straight from basic to advanced, and I was so glad that I did, because my very first client needed a topic that is not covered at all in basic, that I only knew about it because I because I had taken advanced. So that was like that. I mean, that's how I got that client, and that client turned into a 4-figure monthly client. So yeah, I was really glad that I did, but it's not for everybody. So anyway, hope that helps. And that was Kenny. And I think I can take you off. How do I take you off the screen here? There we go. All right, so we've got so many other people saying thank you, sir, helpful, really loved it. I'm so glad to hear that. And next week, I'm not sure what's going to happen because they are shutting down the courses on October 31st, and we'll see if they have a new version yet for us to talk about, or if we're still waiting. For payroll, we're still waiting. They closed it on October 17th, and today is October 28th, so it's been almost 2 weeks, and we still don't have the new payroll version last time I checked. So yeah, so who knows when they're going to release the new basic and advanced. We're just holding our breath. We're all beholden to Intuit. So anyway, that's it, guys. I am going to call it a day, and thanks for sticking with me. Sorry about all the technical issues when we got started. Our offices will not be finished being remodeled next week. So who knows? I might be here again, or I might be somewhere else. I don't know, but I will see you then. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you later.